Samuel Jackson right now in a room in downtown LA because it's
Samuel L. Jackson is one of the most recognizable and prolific actors in Hollywood history. With more than 150 film credits, a signature voice, and a screen presence that commands attention, he has left an indelible mark on cinema. From his electrifying performance as Jules Winfield in Pulp Fiction, to action-packed roles in Die Hard with a Vengeance and Unbreakable, to his turn as Mace Windu in Star Wars and Nick Fury in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Jackson has become a global icon. But beyond the tough guy image, Jackson has always been an actor's actor. He once said that he's addicted to acting and to actors themselves, describing how he thrives on collaboration and how every co-star brings out something new in him. For Jackson, acting isn't a solitary craft, it's a team sport. His admiration for other performers is clear in interviews, where he often praises colleagues for their honesty, intensity, or emotional truth on screen. This video imagines a countdown of the 6 actors Samuel L. Jackson might name as his favorites, based on his public comments, his collaborations, and his obvious respect for the craft. We're not ranking box office numbers or Oscar wins here. Instead, we're looking at actors who embody the seriousness and authenticity Jackson values, the kind of performers who deliver lines that cut straight to the heart of an audience. Each section highlights one actor, paired with a scene and a quote that demonstrates why Jackson might single them out. You'll hear everything from Morgan Freeman's wisdom in The Shawshank Redemption, to Denzel Washington's ruthless pragmatism in Training Day, to Tom Hanks's heartbreaking farewell in Saving Private Ryan. These are actors whose ability to anchor serious, emotionally charged moments resonates deeply with Jackson's own approach to performance. So sit back, picture Samuel L. Jackson, perhaps with that unmistakable cool swagger, introducing us to the performers he respects most. This is the countdown of 6 actors Samuel L. Jackson would likely call his favorites. Number 6, Morgan Freeman.
You gave a commencement speech at your alma mater.
In 2000, I spoke, yeah,
And
at Harvard.
I read it. You're very intelligent.
When Samuel L. Jackson talks about actors he admires, Morgan Freeman often comes up as a natural influence. Both men share a similar trajectory. They didn't become household names until later in life, and they both carved out careers defined by a balance of gravitas, authority, and humanity. Freeman is the type of actor who can walk onto the screen, say a single line, and command absolute attention.
He's lucky I'm not in Captain America 3 now.
One of Freeman's most memorable performances came in The Shawshank Redemption, 1994, where he played Ellis Red Redding, the prison lifer who befriends Andy Dufresne. Red is the film's narrator, its conscience, and its emotional anchor. His voiceover lines have become immortal, and none more so than his reflection on hope. Writing to Andy, Red says, "Remember, Red, hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things, and no good thing ever dies." It's a line that captures the film's quiet optimism, delivered with Freeman's trademark calmness. For Samuel L. Jackson, an actor who thrives on intensity and emotional honesty, it's easy to imagine how much he would respect Freeman's ability to carry the weight of a film with understatement rather than volume. Jackson himself has credited Freeman as a kind of mentor figure, not only for his acting, but also for the way he represents dignity in Hollywood. Freeman embodies the idea that less can be more, that an arched eyebrow, a pause, or a steady gaze can deliver as much power as an explosion of dialogue. Freeman's craft is something Jackson has often talked about in general terms, the idea of truth in performance. Both men are methodical about finding the inner life of a character. While Jackson may lean into explosive, fiery personalities like Jules Winfield in Pulp Fiction, Freeman often embodies patience, restraint, and wisdom. Together, they represent 2 sides of the same coin, the fire and the calm, both of which can be equally devastating in the right scene. Another thing that unites them is versatility. Just as Jackson moves seamlessly between indie dramas and Marvel blockbusters, Freeman has done everything from intense dramas like Glory and Lean on Me to blockbusters like the Dark Knight trilogy. Their careers prove that serious acting isn't tied to genre. Truth can be found in a courtroom, a prison yard, or even a superhero's tech lab. For Jackson, seeing Freeman deliver lines like "hope is a good thing" must feel like watching an elder statesman set the bar for what acting can be. It's no wonder that if Samuel L. Jackson were to list his favorite actors, Morgan Freeman would almost certainly be among them. Freeman's line about hope in Shawshank is one of the most beloved in film history. What's a single line from a movie that has stayed with you for years? Drop it in the comments. I'd love to see your picks. Number 5, Denzel Washington.
Yeah, you don't owe me anything. I owe you. You're the champ, son. You've beaten everybody who was beating you. I salute you.
When we talk about actors who bring sheer force of presence to the screen, Denzel Washington is almost always at the top of the list. Samuel L. Jackson has never been shy about admiring his peers who radiate both intelligence and authority, and Denzel is perhaps the best modern example of that combination. Both men came up through theater, both broke into film at a time when Hollywood wasn't exactly overflowing with opportunities for black actors, and both built careers by embodying characters that audiences couldn't take their eyes off of. In Training Day, 2001, Denzel delivered one of the most electrifying performances of his career, playing corrupt LAPD detective Alonzo Harris. It's the kind of role that only someone with Washington's gravity could pull off. A character who is magnetic, terrifying, and charismatic all at once. One of his defining lines comes when he tries to justify his brutal philosophy to his rookie partner. To protect the sheep, you gotta catch the wolf, and it takes a wolf to catch a wolf. That line captures everything about Alonzo Harris. His logic is twisted but persuasive, his delivery calm but predatory. It's also the kind of line that would appeal to Samuel L. Jackson, who has built his career on characters who aren't always neat heroes or villains, but something far more complicated. Jackson has praised Washington on multiple occasions, often citing him as an actor who doesn't just play a role, but dominates it. They share a mutual respect, and in interviews, Jackson has even admitted that he sees himself as part of the same wave of performers who changed the game for what leading men could look and sound like.
You could be number 6 if you act right.
What Denzel does with controlled intensity, Jackson often does with explosive energy. But the end goal is the same: truth. There's also the question of versatility. Just as Jackson can move from Shakespeare on stage to Nick Fury in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Washington can pivot from Shakespearean adaptations like Much Ado About Nothing to action thrillers like Man on Fire. Their careers reflect the idea that serious acting isn't about the setting, it's about commitment. For Jackson, watching Washington's Alonzo Harris must have been exhilarating. The role took Denzel out of his hero comfort zone and pushed him into morally murky territory, and the Academy clearly agreed. It won Washington his second Oscar. If you had to catch a wolf like Alonzo Harris, would you use his same methods, or would you find another way? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Denzel Washington represents everything Samuel L. Jackson values in an actor: intensity, intelligence, and the ability to blur the line between good and evil. It's no wonder he would appear on this imagined list of Jackson's favorite collaborators and inspirations. Number 4, Bruce Willis. When Samuel L. Jackson talks about the actors who left an impression on him, Bruce Willis is a name that's bound to come up. The two shared the screen memorably in Pulp Fiction, 1994, and later carried entire franchises together, most famously in Die Hard with a Vengeance, 1995, and Unbreakable, 2000. Their dynamic worked because they're very different kinds of performers. Jackson thrives on verbal rhythm and intensity, while Willis often grounds scenes with a laconic, world-weary calm. In Pulp Fiction, Willis played Butch Coolidge, a washed-up boxer who finds himself caught in a web of crime and violence. His decision to double-cross Marcellus Wallace sets the story spiraling into chaos, but the character remains strangely sympathetic. One of his most memorable lines comes after he's survived a nightmarish ordeal and finally escapes with his girlfriend, Fabienne. "Zed's dead, baby. Zed's dead." Delivered with weary understatement, the line is classic Willis. Gritty, simple, but packed with meaning. It's also a moment where Jackson's Jules Winfield, though not in the scene, hangs over the story. Jackson has often said that Willis's ability to make outrageous circumstances feel authentic is what made him perfect for Quentin Tarantino's world. Their collaboration deepened with Die Hard with a vengeance, where Jackson's reluctant shopkeeper Zeus Carver is thrust into a partnership with Willis's battered cop, John McClane. The film became a box office smash largely because of their chemistry. Jackson has joked in interviews that working with Willis was like playing tennis with someone who always keeps the ball in play. In other words, Willis gave him just enough restraint to let Jackson's fiery energy explode without derailing the scene. Off-screen, Jackson has praised Willis as an actor who knows how to stay in the pocket.
Please, ma'am, is there any other cash in the back?
No.
Don't touch that phone, sir. Are you sure? Don't touch that. Are you telling me the truth?
I'm telling you the truth.
You're very honest. Quickly, please. Thank you. Thank you.
That's jazz terminology, something Jackson, a lifelong jazz lover, often uses to describe acting. For him, Willis had that same quality. He could hold a steady rhythm, never forcing too much, never going flat. Even in the strangest or most violent moments, Willis kept things believable. Their work together on Unbreakable further cemented this respect. Playing opposite Jackson's brittle-boned Elijah Price, Willis's stoic security guard David Dunn became the quiet anchor of the story. Jackson once explained that the film worked because Willis didn't overplay the superhero angle. He kept it human, which allowed Jackson's more flamboyant villain to shine. When you think of Bruce Willis, do you picture the sarcastic action hero of Die Hard? Or the more understated performer in films like Unbreakable? Comment below. I'd love to see which side resonates more with you. For Samuel L. Jackson, Bruce Willis isn't just a co-star. He's the kind of actor who makes serious scenes stick. By grounding the extraordinary in the ordinary, Willis gave Jackson room to unleash his full intensity, and together they created some of the most memorable pairings in modern cinema. Number 3. Shia LaBeouf.
He says, hey, Shia, hey, man, I'm a big fan. I said, thank you. He says, hey, what are you doing tonight? And I was like, well, I'm looking to turn it up a bit,
When people think of Samuel L. Jackson, they often imagine him paired with long-established stars. Denzel Washington, Bruce Willis, Morgan Freeman. But Jackson has also been outspoken about his respect for younger actors who bring raw energy to the screen, even when those collaborations are controversial. Shia LaBeouf is one such name. LaBeouf may not seem like the obvious choice for a favorite, but Jackson has pointed out that talent isn't just about polish or years in the industry. It's about presence. And LaBeouf, for all his off-screen turbulence, has undeniable presence. He proved that in Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, 2008, where he played Mutt Williams, the cocky greaser revealed to be Indy's son. One of Mutt's standout lines comes during a fast-paced motorcycle chase with Harrison Ford's Indiana Jones. For an old man, you're not bad in a fight. What are you like, 80? It's a simple jab, but it worked because LaBeouf delivered it with perfect bratty confidence. That ability to match an icon's energy without being overshadowed is exactly what Jackson admires. He's often said that younger actors need to hold their own, and LaBeouf, even opposite legends like Ford or Cate Blanchett, managed to carve out space for himself. Jackson's respect for LaBeouf also stems from his unpredictability. LaBeouf doesn't play safe. He throws himself into roles, whether it's the blockbuster mayhem of Transformers or the art house grit of Honey Boy. Jackson, who values authenticity above all, sees that as a mark of a true performer. He's said in interviews that he enjoys watching actors who can surprise you in the middle of a scene. Love him or hate him, LaBeouf is exactly that kind of actor. Of course, LaBeouf's clashes with directors are well documented. Even Steven Spielberg, one of his biggest champions early in his career, grew frustrated with his public criticisms of projects. Yet Jackson, never shy of controversy himself, understands that creative friction can be part of the process. He's worked with enough Firebrand personalities to know that passion often comes with rough edges. In fact, Jackson has joked about preferring to work with people who bring heat rather than those who coast through a performance. That explains why he would tip his hat to LaBeouf. Beneath the chaos, there's commitment. Do you enjoy seeing newcomers challenge veterans on screen, or do you prefer tried and true pairings of established stars? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear where you stand. For Samuel L. Jackson, Shia LaBeouf represents the kind of bold, unpredictable energy that keeps acting alive. By sparring with cinematic legends and refusing to back down, LaBeouf earned Jackson's respect and his place on this countdown. For 2, Julia Roberts.
Hashtag superfan.
Yeah.
When it comes to Hollywood royalty, few names shine as brightly as Julia Roberts. By the time she stepped into Steven Spielberg's Hook, 1991, as Tinkerbell, Roberts was already on her way to being crowned America's sweetheart. But her experience on that film and the way she channeled her frustration into one of her most tender performances helps explain why Samuel L. Jackson holds her in such high regard. On screen, Roberts delivered one of Tinkerbell's most moving lines to Robin Williams' Peter Pan. "You know that place between sleep and awake? The place where you can still remember dreaming? That's where I'll always love you. That's where I'll be waiting." It's a line drenched in longing, capturing the unspoken ache of love that can never quite be fulfilled. Roberts' ability to pour sincerity into a fantasy film is exactly what Jackson admires. She grounds even the most whimsical characters in emotional truth. Off-screen, however, Hook was famously turbulent for Roberts. Long hours on set, coupled with Spielberg's meticulous directing, made her question the project. Spielberg himself admitted years later that their collaboration wasn't a good time. Yet what matters to Jackson is the end result. Roberts brought vulnerability and strength to the role, proving that even under pressure, she could shine. Jackson has publicly praised Roberts for balancing warmth with steel. He sees in her a performer who refuses to coast on charm alone. Look at her later career choices. Erin Brockovich, Closer, August, Osage County. And you see an actress unafraid of tackling complex, often uncomfortable roles. For Jackson, that fearlessness makes her more than just a star. It makes her a serious artist. There's also a personal dimension. Jackson has said he enjoys watching actors who carry themselves with authenticity both on and off screen. Roberts, despite her struggles with fame, has maintained an image of candor and resilience. She's never tried to hide the fact that some roles broke her down, and that honesty is something Jackson respects deeply. Have you ever had a movie line stick with you for years? Not because of the special effects or spectacle, but because it felt so achingly human? If so, share it in the comments. I'd love to hear which quote has haunted you the most.
Nice.
No, but that's you and I, definitely. That's how we function.
Julia Roberts earns her spot here, not because everything went smoothly, but because even in a fraught production, she found the heart of her character and delivered it with unforgettable grace. That kind of strength under fire is exactly what makes an actor worthy of Samuel L. Jackson's admiration. Number 1, Tom Hanks.
And those hours on a Greyhound bus, starting when I was 7 or 8 years old.
When Samuel L. Jackson thinks of actors who embody dignity, grit, and emotional truth, it's no surprise Tom Hanks rises to the top. Often called America's Dad, Hanks has built a career on characters who, under extraordinary pressure, hold on to their humanity. It's that quality, the ability to combine everyday warmth with near-mythic resilience, that Jackson respects most. Their paths haven't crossed as often as fans might wish, but Jackson has consistently spoken about the importance of actors who ground spectacle in sincerity. And in Spielberg's Saving Private Ryan, 1998, Hanks gave exactly that kind of performance. As Captain John Miller, he led a band of soldiers through the chaos of D-Day and into one of the most emotionally devastating endings in war cinema. The line that has haunted audiences for decades comes as Miller lies dying after completing his mission. Looking at the young soldier they've risked everything to save, he whispers, "James, earn this. Earn it." It's not just a plea, it's a command, a summation of the film's entire moral weight. Hanks delivers it in a cracked, fading voice, embodying both exhaustion and unwavering conviction. For Jackson, who values actors who can distill complex themes into a single unforgettable moment, this scene is the pinnacle of the craft. Behind the scenes, Spielberg demanded brutal realism, pushing his cast through a harrowing boot camp and the exhausting Omaha Beach sequence. Hanks embraced the ordeal, understanding that authenticity wasn't negotiable. It was the point. That discipline, that willingness to push beyond comfort, is something Jackson admires because it echoes his own philosophy as a performer. Hanks's performance also resonates because it embodies a kind of heroism Jackson has often highlighted. Not flashy, not invulnerable, but deeply human. Captain Miller isn't superhuman. He trembles, doubts, and breaks down under the weight of his task. Yet, through all of it, he holds on to decency. For Jackson, that's the kind of role that proves acting is more than pretending. It's truth-telling under impossible circumstances. If you had to carry one line with you as a personal motto, something to guide your choices, would you choose Captain Miller's "Earn This" or another quote from film history? Drop your answer in the comments. I'd love to see which words still guide you. In the end, Tom Hanks takes the #1 spot not just because he's a great actor, but because he represents what Jackson admires most. Craft without ego, emotional honesty, and a commitment to leaving audiences with something that lingers long after the credits. Looking back at this countdown, one thing becomes crystal clear. Samuel L. Jackson's imagined list of favorite actors isn't really about celebrity, fame, or even personal friendships. It's about craft. Each of the names we've explored, whether veterans like Morgan Freeman and Tom Hanks, commanding presences like Denzel Washington, or unexpected collaborators like Julia Roberts, represents a different facet of what Jackson values most: truth. From Freeman's quiet wisdom in The Shawshank Redemption to Hanks's haunting "Earn This" in Saving Private Ryan, these performances remind us that great acting is about more than memorizing lines. It's about carrying the weight of human experience and putting it on screen in a way that feels honest, even when the story is fictional. Jackson, with his own uncompromising approach, clearly admires actors who dare to dig into those deeper truths. And the diversity of the list is telling. It spans genres, generations, and styles. Because for Jackson, authenticity doesn't belong to one tradition. It can be found in a blockbuster battle speech, a whispered confession, or a small, quiet moment between two characters. What matters is the commitment behind it. Before you go, let me ask, which of these performances hit you hardest? Was it Freeman's hope, Washington's wolfish warning, or Hanks's final plea? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to see which scenes still resonate with you today. At the end of the day, lists like this aren't just about Samuel L. Jackson. They're about celebrating the actors who inspire actors, the craft that drives collaboration, and the serious scenes that stay with us long after the credits roll. So, next time you watch one of these films, remember, you're not just seeing a performance, you're witnessing a conversation between great artists across time.